I don't think I'll ever look at my house the same way again. It's strange how you can live somewhere for years, and never really know the place you call home. But after what I found hidden behind my own walls, I realized how terrifying it is, to not know who's been there with you all along. This happened 2 years ago, when I was living alone for the first time. I had just bought this small, older house on the edge of town, one of those cheap fixer-uppers that looks cozy enough during the day, but a little too quiet at night. It had creaky floors, thin walls, and that old wood smell that reminded me of my grandparents' place. The first few months were peaceful. I worked from home as a graphic designer, so I spent most days at my desk by the living room window. Nights were usually silent except for the hum of the fridge or the wind against the siding. But one night in November, I started noticing something small, something I brushed off at first. It was the faint sound of tapping. Like someone drumming their fingers softly on the wall behind me. At first, I thought it was the pipes or the house settling. But the weird thing was, it always happened at the same time, around 2 a.m. Just 2 or 3 taps, then silence. After a week, the tapping became harder to ignore. Sometimes it would move, one night from the living room wall, another night from the ceiling above my bedroom. Once, I even heard what sounded like footsteps in the attic. Slow, deliberate, like someone trying not to be heard. I told myself it was animals, raccoons or maybe squirrels, so I went up there one afternoon with a flashlight. The attic was mostly empty except for old insulation and a few cardboard boxes left by the previous owner. But there was something odd about the floorboards near the back. They looked newer, cleaner than the rest, like they'd been replaced recently. And right there, between 2 beams, was a thin line of dust-free wood. Almost like a hatch. I pushed on it, but it didn't move. So I left it alone. That night, though, the sounds got louder. I woke up around 3 a.m. to a thud, not from the roof, but from inside the wall behind my bed. I froze, sitting there in the dark, listening. There it was again, a soft scrape, like fingernails dragging on drywall. I turned on the light and stood up, pressing my ear against the wall. And for just a second, I swear I heard breathing. The next morning, I called my friend Marcus to come over. He's good with tools and figured we could open up that section of the attic floor to see what was going on. When we pulled up the boards, the smell hit us first, a damp, musty odor like old clothes and mold. Below the boards was a small crawlspace, maybe 4 feet deep, pitch black, and colder than the rest of the attic. Marcus pointed his flashlight inside, and what we saw made my stomach drop. There was a sleeping bag. A couple of empty water bottles. Crumpled food wrappers. And a stack of old newspapers dated from almost a year before I moved in. Someone had been living in there. Then Marcus found something else, a small hole cut through the wall of the crawlspace that looked straight down into the living room. It wasn't much bigger than a vent, but from that spot, you could see directly where I usually sat at my desk every day. My hands were shaking. I didn't want to believe it, but whoever had been in that crawlspace had been watching me. We called the police immediately. They came, inspected everything, and said there was no sign anyone was still there. They guessed it might have been a squatter from before I moved in, maybe someone who never fully left. But that didn't explain the noises. Or why, when they finished searching and sealed up the hatch, I noticed something new. Right outside my bedroom window, on the inside of the glass, there was a single handprint. Smudged, faint, but definitely fresh. After that, I couldn't sleep in that house anymore. I sold it a few months later, took a loss, and moved into a small apartment. I still work from home, but I can't shake the feeling that someone might be on the other side of the wall. Listening. Watching. Waiting for me to forget again. Sometimes, late at night, I'll hear that same faint tapping. And every time, I hold my breath. Because I'm scared one day, I'll find out there's another hidden space, and someone's already inside it. If you've ever experienced something like this before, something hiding where you least expected it, share your story in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this one, remember to subscribe for more true horror stories.